Let's dive into training camp. It starts in 2 days. I'm very excited. We'll be out there. I'll be out there Wednesday for the beginning or for the arrival day for guys to show up. Me and Jacob will be there Thursday and Friday to begin training camp, coming to you live from St. Vincent College. Very excited for that one. But there is a ton to talk about, whether it's players to watch, bubble guys, roster competition, starting competitions. I mean, down to big names like Jalen Ramsey versus Darius Slay that we don't know how that's going to work out, but you have to dive into what could be when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers and their lineup in 2025. We're going to start with players to watch. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a bunch of them, whether it's guys that could shape the depth chart, guys that could make a splash on the roster, guys that could define whether or not this is a Super Bowl season or a complete bust for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll let you kick this one off. Give me 2-3 guys that you have on your radar heading into camp as players to watch.
Yeah, no, happy to kick it off here. And look, you could go with every single player who is going to show up at St. Vincent's later this week. But I'll start with who might be the most important player, for me at least, to get a grasp on and to take a look at. And that is one, Mr. Broderick Jones. And I think that is maybe the obvious pick. And I think offensive line has been a continuous conversation for you and I on this show. It's been a continuous conversation for everybody regarding the Steelers. But now I think it's going to come to the forefront a little bit more. And I think that we're going to see what Broderick Jones is made out of. So I'm excited to see how he is, seeing if he matches that same sort of intensity, that energy that we're all used to. That same personality is going to shine through, but does he take that next step? Is he ready to be an anchor on the left side of the line? So he's the first obvious one. I have, a couple other ones, but I want to kick it back to you real quick just to make sure there aren't any more starters like of the first 11 on both sides of the ball that I'm missing here.
Yeah, I mean, my big one's in the backfield, and we'll talk running backs a lot throughout the show, but Jaylen Warren and Caleb Johnson are two names to me that you'll talk Aaron Rodgers. He'll have all the lights and the cameras and everybody talking about him and eyes on him. You'll talk DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, and Roman Wilson because you're looking at it going, okay, these guys are the fun, exciting ones with question marks around them. Obviously, the newcomers will be there. And Broderick Jones is a great name because the offensive line, just like you said, defines this season. If the offensive line is bad, the Pittsburgh Steelers are bad. You're not going to be good with a bad offensive line. No one ever is. Ask Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Ask Ben Roethlisberger and the fact that he did everything he possibly could his last 2 years in the league to make the Pittsburgh Steelers a competitor and couldn't do it because of how bad the offensive line was. Broderick Jones does define a lot of this season. When you come to the backfield, I think that's what makes or breaks how good the Steelers offense can be, because you could throw the football all day and rely on your 41-year-old quarterback and Aaron Rodgers. And yeah, exciting. He's Aaron Rodgers and he's still a guy that I'd lean on and have faith in to be able to have a pretty productive season and to lead this group. But you look at the backfield, man, and you look at the offense and it's Jaylen Warren and it's Caleb Johnson who are going to carry the Pittsburgh Steelers offense in 2025. Jalen's a dude that you will get to see plenty of in a different light because we saw him last year. We saw him the year before that as the number 2, the exciting guy that you knew was going to be behind Najee Harris. Now you're looking at it going, what does he do with the number 1? How exciting can he be? I think he's going to be the most electric name at camp. I'm going to make that bold prediction here. I think Jaylen Warren is the name that we are super fired up about 2-3 days into training camp because of how good he looks. And then I think Caleb Johnson, man, is going to be a fan favorite within 24 hours of training camp. I think that's all it's going to take is Caleb Johnson being out there and guys seeing him and be able to be like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy is fantastic. There is nothing that we lied about in terms of his vision, explosiveness, and natural ability. I mean, those are the two. When I'm out there, when I'm watching the offense, all eyes will be on Aaron Rodgers, obviously. But every time Jalen and Caleb touch the football, I think it's time to pay a little bit closer attention to what they can do and how well they mesh, not just together, but with the offensive line, because that's going to define how good the offense is.
Yeah, I mean, I think by, the end of this first week of training camp here, we're going to be talking about this sort of dynamic duo that is Jaylen Warren and Caleb Johnson. It's going to take all of, several tweets of a backs on backers drill going through, and Caleb Johnson running over one linebacker in a drill for it to set the entire Steelers nation ablaze. So I think that's a really good call out. I think that's something everybody's sort of paying attention to as camp opens. I want to also look to the defensive side of the ball. It's hard to not pick on everybody, but the cornerbacks, I'm sure we're going to get into a little bit more here, but I think the person that I am most excited to watch on the defensive side of the ball is Cole Holcomb. We've talked about him, a good bit about, the foolishness about suggesting him being a potential cut candidate. We've talked about the impact he will have if he's healthy. I'm so excited to see him fully in action, fully ready to contribute to the Steelers defense, and to see how deep the middle linebacking group actually looks with a healthy and quite frankly starting level material Cole Holcomb involved as well.
Yeah, Cole Holcomb to me is a guy that people will label as a roster bubble guy. There's no chance. It is more so and we'll dive into it here shortly, are you going to be a starter in 2025 guy? Are you that good still after a devastating knee injury to be able to come out here and still be that guy? That's how I view Cole Holcomb. I'll toss another defensive guy at you that is the most obvious name possible when it comes to players to watch. Juan Thornhill. Who the hell is he? How good is he? Is he good enough? Is he terrible? I mean, these are all questions and we have zero answers to, or an idea of. You look at Juan Thornhill. I mean, to be really honest, you're going to get one day of Juan Thornhill before the entire Pittsburgh Steelers army decides whether or not they are totally screwed at safety or if they're going to be okay. Juan Thornhill to me is the biggest name to watch on defense. I think hands down the biggest name to watch on defense in day one. At least I see that.
For sure. No, I think by the end of the week, the end of this first week here, there's going to be two major talking points, and I'm not sure which way it's going to go. And it's, again, running backs, as I said a moment ago, and is the secondary already screwed in Pittsburgh? And that will literally just come down to one, series of like 7 shots or 7-on-7 or something like that, whatever. In the first couple of days of training camp, Juan Thornhill gives up some sort of touchdown, and all of a sudden we are talking about how the Omar Khan must go out and go get somebody, and why hasn't he already? And maybe there is another player that's already on the roster by the end of the week. It doesn't seem like it as it's a Monday morning here, but I think you are bang on here. Juan Thornhill, the secondary, everybody is looking to see, is this an elite secondary already with Jalen Ramsey involved and Joey Porter Jr. hopefully improved in year 3, or are we talking about this being a huge hole in the defense once again?
Yeah, if Juan Thornhill is not good, we're going to know pretty quickly. And then that's the worst part about it is you don't have there's no competition. It's just, okay, well, Omar Khan better get on the phone with literally everybody and see who he can bring to Pittsburgh, because if not, the Steelers are in trouble. The other way around, don't get fooled by it. Juan Thornhill has one good day. Maybe he's starter worthy. Maybe he is pretty good, but it still doesn't mean that Miles Killebrew and company are quality backups. You still got to go get somebody. I think that's where we could stand there.